My AI agent works on every single lead that touches my inbox, but I have an approval gate in place so it cannot touch a single reply unless I tell it so. And that's on purpose. It allows me to have trust in the process of letting it automate most of the work where I have some review steps in place. And in this video, I'm going to show you the workflow that I use because lead gen is something that is done in most businesses. And I'm going to show you why an AI agent can automate a lot of it and save you a ton of time to focus on what's important, which is the actual demo calls you're going to have with these leads. We're looking at my Obsidian OS that I have right here. And in our workflow, you can see we have lead intake down to lead inbox. And here we are. And it's going to continually log the leads as they go. So these are the 3 leads that we have that came in. I have it set where it puts the name, the company, the email, and their message, which is essentially what is done on the actual form fill. So it's pretty easy for it to process and log it in here. Now, one counterpart, I have it built in here in the lead inbox so it can pull from this and give me processed replies, which we're going to get to in a bit. But also, if you are having a HubSpot CRM, Salesforce, or even like Google Sheets, if you are logging all your leads in there, it could do the same thing. It could output these leads and put them straight into your CRM. That's what I do for a lot of our client accounts. You just got to make sure you have API or MCP access to this. So our Hermes agent runs inside of our Discord. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here and just kind of showcase for beginners that know nothing about this. This is why an agent harness is so special because it is built off of this entire OS. So this right here is built off of, it can be upwards to hundreds and even thousands of files based on whatever the context is that your business is operating in that your agents work on. So that way, when I type something like go through the new leads and draft me up the replies, it knows what to do. If you were to just go do this in a ChatGPT or a regular AI chatbot, you wouldn't get the response you're looking for. It would be like, what are you talking about? It doesn't know anything about the context of what's going on or have the connections to go and see the leads. When you build out the back end, which is this Obsidian folder right here, you can build these processes in place. So for every workflow I have, like lead take, there's a workflow. And in this workflow, I break down step by step what to do so the agent will read this and it knows what to do step-by-step process. The agent will read the workflow file right here so it knows exactly what it needs to do every single time it's operating inside of this workflow. That's why it's important you always have workflow files in every single workflow with step-by-step instructions. I'm going to come over here real quick to my brain inside my ideal client profile. And this is something that we build out for a lot of our clients that we do this work for. So in the brain, it's essentially this. You can see we have 4 files in here. We have company profile, offer and pricing, voice and style. These are the basics. These files are going to be used in a broad case scenario. So a lot of them are going to be used across the board. A lot of them are going to be very specific, but they're very specific to your business. Obviously, offer and pricing is not just going to be the same for everybody. Same with ideal client profile. So in that workflow file we read on the lead intake, it references the ideal client profile. So it will come into this file and read all of this, which is basically, the do's and don'ts of what we're looking for in leads. That way, as leads come through, it can already start to filter, right? So it's very important you build these processes across your OS. As I said before, I asked it about the new leads and it knew exactly what to do. It knew what leads I was talking about. That's the key thing here because it's like an employee. Here's the 3 ones we have. We have Maya, which is from Harbor and Vine Coffee Roasters. Classification, strong fit. ICP reasons, and it gives me the details, and then it has a drafted reply. Let's move on to Derek, where it needs more of a discovery, it looks like. Gives me the reasons why, plausible content need, but missing the budget, the timeline, etc. So that makes sense. Let's get a discovery call going, and it already has me a reply. And then the third one was just Crypto Boost 5000, looking to be essentially a growth partner. So this would be an automatic decline. Now, this is a good example that I want to use because declines like this aren't really something I need to reply to. So because I got this option, I want it to operate better for future workflow cases. So before we focus on the first 2, I want to show an example of how you improve your AI agent because there's going to be flaws that happen and you need to prove upon them. Can we make a rule in place for this workflow whenever you see a lead that is an instant decline from the classification, you don't even give me a draft reply because they're form fills. We don't need to actually reply to them. We're just going to leave them kind of in a dead end scenario. Watch how a simple example comes up, because you will see these examples come up when you're working on things. You're like, oh, that's different. I don't really want it to do that. These are the changes. So yes, but that's a workflow control change. So I'd stop at approval before editing. Long story short, it can't just make edits until I get approvals. But here's the proposed rule. Instant decline, no reply rule. If a lead clearly hits an ICP red flag and classification as decline, Rook, my AI agent, should not draft a reply by default. So yeah, I approve this. So let's say approve. And then we can go back to the first two, which is the main reason why we were doing this. When I look at the replies, if there were certain things that we wanted to tailor, just like the example I gave right before where I'm making edits, let's just say no M dashes, it's a classic AI slop thing. I could train it on that, because what it's pulling this from is, if we go back to this, it's pulling it off of our voice and style. This is kind of the example that I have in place here to showcase how to write an email, etc. So as things go on, you want to expand this to be more personalized to what you're doing. But for the sake of the demo, this is a great reply. We're looking to just schedule a 30-minute call, so I would approve this one. And even looking at the second one, it's good to go. Let's just say we don't like the 3 questions that it already proposed for Derek. We can make changes. So what we're going to do is we're going to approve number 1, make changes in number 2. I approve of the first message with Maya, so good work on that. But for the second message with Derek, I approve of the entire email except for the 3rd question. Let's just remove it and only stick to 1 and 2, please. Just a simple change like that, and it'll get working on it. And going back to the original thing, you could see right here, I have it where it shows it's called narration of what it's doing here, but it updated the workflow and it added the instant decline leads, no draft, red flag is named, etc. And then it saved this. So this is like exactly what I wanted. So it won't even do this next time, right? And then it already responded to me. Derek revised, hi Derek, thank you. You're gonna see it's the original email just now. There's no question 3, good to go. It's as simple as that. And it will then go, because it has connections in the workflow as one of the final steps to my email, it's going to go and send the emails. And just going back to the workflow file of how we built this workflow, you could see it's very extensive, right? There's a lot going on here. And there's even an install checklist of how things are going, right? It gives me the output format. So if we want to change how it's actually reading it back to me, we can do all of that. And here's the procedures of how it talks through every single step of the things you should read, you should go out and edit, etc. And here's the human review gates. This is the key aspect that you need to have in every single workflow that you do. These are your hard stops, essentially. And because for demo purposes, I'm not actually sending these emails, it's all dummy information. But lastly, what it would do is log the proof. Very important thing that I see a lot of people not do in their agent harnesses, but we want to log what is done at all times. Anything that's executionable from a perspective of going outwards, meaning client emails, or it's making changes to the website, things that are being done even internally can be allowed to have a proof section. A lot of my audits in my main OS for my business are saved here in the proofs. You could see we did a proposal asset dry run that was done a couple of days ago, and it was saved right here. When those emails get sent to the leads, it would save a separate proof, it would timestamp it, and that way, if there's ever mistakes, we can reference back to this, go from here, and make changes that is necessary. So just to recap exactly how that workflow worked. The trigger went in place because I asked it about the new leads, and it knows, because Hermes agent has a great memory system and it knows how to read these triggers, to go read the workflow of the lead gen intake, and then that will guide it the rest of the way. And that's exactly what it does in step 2. It reads the workflow MD file that we showcased, and then it knows everywhere else it has to go before it can start working on what is necessary, which is 3, drafting the work. You could see it gave us the output of what it found, the 3 leads, what it thinks of the first 2. The 3rd one is really a denial. And then that's why it's asking me, what should we do next? I gave my information. We made even edits to the second response to Derek by cutting out that 3rd question that I was asking, and I approved it. And then it sends it, it logs it in the OS as I showed, and then there's steps to improve, which I did in the middle of the process, but in theory, you're always improving your loops or workflows. There's going to be these mistakes that I keep talking about that you see, and you're going to have to tighten them up. And it's as simple as just treating the agent like if it's an employee for you. If you had an employee that was working under you that was doing things incorrectly, it's your responsibility to correct them. It's your responsibility to help guide them for the sake of their career, right? It's the same thing with these agents. They're going to keep making those mistakes until you train it, tell it not to do this. And then what it will do is save necessary rules or information in the OS so it knows not to do that moving forward. And in the description below, I have a very simple prompt of how to get started on this. Let your Hermes agent walk you through the necessary steps. It's the best way to learn how to use it, in my opinion, but this is in the description right here that you can utilize for your OS, because lead gen intake is one of the easiest workflows that can be automated, but also one of the most time-consuming workflows. So it's great for us operators to kind of hand this off to automation. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It goes a long way. I know I'm a small-time YouTube creator in this space, but I believe I have a lot of knowledge and experience with this that a lot of people can learn from. And the only way to get these videos to those viewers is through engagement on the video. Thumbs up and comments goes a long way. And I'm always in the comments answering questions, helping people out with anything specific. And I get a lot of my content ideas from questions people ask. So feel free to ask. Please check out any of my other videos where I break down very specific use cases on Hermes Agent, how to use agent harnesses in general, and why every business model can benefit from this, because I truly believe this is the future. Thanks once again, and we will continue on building agent harnesses to help us operators work in the best way possible.